Hello, friends. Hello, one and all. Welcome to another impromptu live, as more and more seem to be these days, just totally by chance or when I'm moved by the spirit. I feel it. I just feel like doing it. So I just came back from an amazing brunch. I had a wonderful call with the group this morning for Best Year Ever, which is now closed past March. It's finished. So we're going through the rest of the year every month, but no new joiners. And we discussed one of the questions I got a couple weeks ago was in regards to basically tantric principle, which has to do with offering or manifestation and what to do around eclipses. A lot of people are quite fearful about the eclipse that's coming up on Monday. Hi, Nisri. Thank you for being here. And so we got into that, and that led to something else in regards to menstruation. And this marks the 1 year and 1 day anniversary of my study of Tantra. So I feel that I'm ready to give you more information. All the exclusive stuff, of course, is on Patreon. And shout out to my latest patron. You really surprised me. I woke up this morning to a notification, so I was really happy about that. There's a free option as well if you can't afford to pay. So sometimes I do put stuff that's like public. You can go for that. Yay. Thank you, Nazreen. Proud of you too. My academic queen. And anyway, so then I went to brunch and the conversation, because the person that I was with for brunch is a Western African, very spiritual person and in her like medicine realm. So we ended up discussing blood. So I wanted to just do a quick live and talk about two things: menstruation, manifestation, misconceptions, and more. Say less, I'm joining right now. Woo, woo. Thank you. And I call it the good woman curse. It's not the curse of the good woman. It's like a good woman has gone out and cursed somebody. It's the curse of being a good woman. Okay, so we'll discuss it. We'll wrap it up here. But basically, let's start. Okay, so first thing is in regards to understanding a lot of spiritual principles. We have to, I forget who said it now. I really wish I remembered. Oh man, it was a man. He said something really profound, like some psychologist or something. But he said the trick to learning is to begin with unlearning what you've already known. So for me, who's been studying spirituality for over 20 years, everything I've read, more or less, has been written by a man. And those methods don't work for women, not all of them, a lot of the time, right? So women are also wired differently, we're made differently, and there's nothing wrong in that. We're supposed to be different. It makes life exciting. But applying spiritual disciplines that are suited for men onto the feminine form is not healthy and it's not conducive to growth. And I know because I did it for 2 decades, it doesn't work. Okay. So, for example, this is why menstruation is so important and discussing it and not making it taboo. We're not going to go crazy into it. I already have a video about that on Patreon, more detail on there. But let's take something like fasting. Fasting, intermittent fasting. This is primarily suitable for men. They have a daily cycle. We have a monthly cycle. So I don't mean in terms of fasting, such as like weight loss or purification. Though purification is a very important thing, like principles of yama and niyama, etc. Right? But you don't. When you're on your period, your liver has a completely different set of functions. It's trying so hard to filter and purify the hormones, the excess of what's going on. Okay, as your body's cleaning out. So you have to understand, you don't need to go, you don't have to, I feel like that TikTok sound, you don't have to stand, I don't have kids, okay? I don't have to go as hard. I'm like, you don't have to do with that. You don't have to do all that. So this is where the question came. The person basically said, I'm trying to manifest XYZ. Should I journal? Should I do this during the eclipse? All these astrologers are scaring me. I'm like, well, you're talking to an astrologer who just have, I don't know if I have like a, I don't know if it's the truth. I could be wrong. Find out and, die and find out. Oh my God, what have I done? But ultimately, you have the power. So ultimately, eclipse or no eclipse, it doesn't matter. The reason eclipses are feared is because they produce unpredictable results or unstable results, right? But at the end of the day, the central theme was about like periods. So basically, when you are menstruating, your body is working so hard, right? That's why you feel the way you do. This is no accident, all right? Pardon me. Intermittent fasting, cold plunge, 7 hours sleep, all the studies that promote this were done on men. Okay. Cold plunge, maybe it works. I don't know. I would never do that ever because I come from a culture and I grew up in a country that said you are not supposed to expose your pelvic area to cold. Like if you sit on cement when you're 6 years old, some auntie's going to walk by and go, you won't be able to have kids. Oh, you're gonna, you're not supposed to be barefoot. You're not supposed to have cold feet. You're supposed to always keep this area warm, right? Me neither. Amen. So that is not conducive to women's health. And actually, in I think it's Chinese medicine, the foot, the health of the foot is tied to the womb. So you're supposed Slavic and Arabs. So you're supposed to have warm feet. You're not supposed to have cold feet. Okay, it's like it's bad for your innards. That's the way that it's seen. So, any case, basically, you have to understand that the most energetically intensive thing for the human body to produce is sperm, is egg. The reproductive faculties that have to churn these out are really working so hard all the time. So, in very quickly described here, I don't think you'll find it anywhere else for free and so succinct. So I hope that you make the most of it. The fact that a man can produce a fresh batch, every single day, go about his business every single day. This is why spiritual practices centering around restraint and abstinence are designed primarily for men and their energy fields because their biology is as such. For us, it's monthly. Okay. I do believe, I preach, I do talk, I do preach. So I'm a little preachy. I do talk quite a bit about abstaining, okay, for many spiritually pure reasons, etc. But basically, once a month, you empty out, you release your egg. So for those days or for that week of the month, you need not do anything because it's so strenuous. It's so difficult. It's beyond your control. Like nature takes hold, right? People say, I don't get periods, I get too many. That's not natural. You're supposed to balance it out. Something is off health wise, energy wise. You have to get into balance. You're supposed to be menstruating. It's a celebrated thing, it's very powerful. So, what happens is when you shed that, that is the sadhana, that is the practice. So people will say, okay, because you're tired during your period, you're supposed to rest. You're supposed to rest and you're going to feel so much better. I mean, if you want to journal or reflect and meditate because it makes you feel better when you're a period, that's totally fine. But you're not supposed to endeavor. You aren't supposed to push yourself because it's counterintuitive and it counteracts all the work that your body and soul is already doing. In Islam, it's haram to do it during, that's true. You're in a sacred state when you're on your period. And in pregnancy, you're not supposed to orgasm, you're not supposed to do it. Okay. There's many spiritual things that will say that you can, some that say that you can't. It really depends how you feel. I'm not you, I'm not God, I don't know. Okay. But for me, this is what I believe. So and there's reasons for that as well. So it's like a form of enchantment or enthrallment for the person who's the partner of the woman during that time. And I think it's a little fear based because they don't know what to do with that much power. But really, also they can zap you of your power. So in essence, when you are, in those days, when you're having your days, as my friend says, she's like, "Where are you?" I'm on my days. When you have your days, you're already spending your energy doing what nature intended you to do. You don't have to sit on the floor. You don't have to say mantras. You don't have to do yoga. You don't have to pray. You don't have to journal. You don't have to do spells and candles and nothing. You don't have to do nothing. Okay. You're supposed to take rest. And people will say, "Hi, Annie." Oh my God, long time to see. How are you? So they'll say, "Oh, well, but that's the best time to do it." Okay. If you want to, that's totally fine. It's not like it's wrong or anything like that. It's not at all. But think of it like this: nature abhors a vacuum. When you release your egg, you are effectively empty of the most fruitful thing and the most energy intensive thing that there is for your body to have possibly created, right? It's the start of life. It's very, and you've had children, it's like a beautiful process, okay? So, by that logic, once you are on your you're bleeding, right? You are empty. So anything you want to manifest, because you need rest and you're tired, your resistance is low and your defenses are down. It could just spring into your uh, field of perception. It could just appear before you. It can just simply manifest. So, I mean, if you want to do all the practices and the disciplines, wake up at 4 a.m., have a sip of milk, sit on the floor, face the sun, chant, go for it. If you want to take a break because ultimately nature pours a vacuum. So if you're missing something, that's impossible. It'll just come and put something else in the meantime. And then you're supposed to take rest because the 15 days after your flow is when you are replenishing your estrogen and progesterone levels. So you're actually more productive for that 2-week period than you are for the whole month anyways. I've been wanting to catch your live for a while, so happy. Thanks to IG for oh, yeah, thank you, yay. So, now you know. So, that will cover the manifestation portion, and that will cover the misconception portion. There just isn't anything that you have to do, okay? And a lot of the things that we hear and see out there are really made by men for men. And I don't think it's badly meant. I'm not like attacking them or anything like that. I really just think they run off and they have some spiritual experiences and they want to come share their knowledge. And that's a beautiful thing. And they're welcome to do it. And that's great. But if you search your heart, you feel it in your solar plexus, like this doesn't work for me and I always wanted to know why. And now you understand why. You don't have to go as hard because your body's already fluctuating all the time. It's not as stable as men. Men are solar energy. Solar energy is square in Gemini astrology. It's a square shape. The moon is circle. So the thing my teacher told me, she says, if you take a circle and you put it on the table and you jiggle it, it's going to roll around, right? You take a cube, you take a square, you put it on the table like these matches, okay? It just you jiggle the table, a square is steadfast. It's going to be stable. So their path is a little more consistent in a sense, right? Like they can do the same thing every day. We're not supposed to do the same thing every day. We're supposed to do certain things certain times of the month. So it's week by week basis effectively. So I've talked about this book an astonishing amount and blue in the face. It's called The Woman Code by Dr. Elisa Vitti. She basically cured herself of her PCOS, acne, weight gain, all this stuff by living in what she calls the flow. So every week of the month, she has a different diet based on where her hormones are at. And she went to medical school and she's a doctor, but she studied she was apprenticing in a Chinese like natural healing like Chinese medicine clinic basically, and she learned everything from this physician and Western medicine, modern medicine, whatever, and Eastern. And then she married the two and wrote this amazing book. It's mind blowing. Literally, the beginning blew my mind. I read it like maybe I want to say 12 years ago. I don't know how long it's been out. A long time ago. Hi, Reem. Oh my God, I love you. Love this for you. Love you. Love you. Love you. Flowing love. Flowing love. Reem. Also, I know you have Aries energy. Watch out, girl. Next week's gonna be a lot. Stay home if you can tomorrow. If you can't, take a salt bath when you get home. And the 10th and the 11th, avoid any kind of like any risky activity, whatever. Like don't go ziplining, don't go skateboarding, etc. Sword eating, sword fighting, fencing, etc. Okay. So anyway, in the start of the book, she mentions endocrine disruptions, things like deodorants, perfume, scented candles. And actually, when I got into Jyotish shortly after that, I realized some people are easily triggered by those things. Okay, women who have Rahu Mars conjunction are susceptible to poisons in the blood, to impurities in the blood. And depending on where it is in the chart, if it's in the fourth house, it could be your lungs, like smoking, cheap scented candles, cheap perfumes. So wear natural things. You can still wear, you're supposed to adorn your body as a woman. I do those things. I have those afflictions, but I do it differently. I take it back to nature and I use my intuition, what feels good to me. And maybe, this perfume is a perfume, but it makes me so happy. I have so much positive energy like attached to it. I think I have every single version of this, like how low it is. And it's not my first bottle either. I literally do. I think I have every single version because I love them and they make me nostalgic, but it's my one exception. It's not the thing I bathe myself in per se. Okay. So we can take it to questions for menstruation if you're interested. I'm doing a water fast. So I'll be home hopefully. Amen. Oh, that's the perfect thing. So anyway, that being said, there's nothing really magical or like scary about any of these things. I talk more about the origin of human sacrifice on my Patreon in regards to that and how much of your power lies in that. And it's nothing really like mystical or weird. You're just supposed to take rest. So another one is so Nazreen, you mentioned that in Islam it was haram when you're your period to engage in intimacy with your partner. So take it to cross cultures culturally around the whole of the world for millennia, basically. Women are not allowed in places of worship when they're menstruating. And before you take a very, I'm sorry to say, like, I'm gonna drag myself because I used to think it's so anti-feminist and all this. Like I'm really gonna like, say that that's crazy. Do you know why that is? Most places of worship, such as let's say mosques, churches, temples, they have male priests. As I've just mentioned, men have to endeavor every single day to bring in the divine close to them. Women are naturally close to the divine because of our biology, okay? I believe everything Nikola Tesla said. He said this, so I'm not going to dispute it. And you would just know if you were female, you feel change in the weather, like you just know what time it is, you know. So if men every single day are working hard to call in the divine, they're restricting access to food, they're fasting, they're praying, they're celibate, blah, 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 and they're building up this energy in this one geographic place, okay? And people come and visit every day in droves. These priests are working overtime. One teenage girl with her period, chewing bubble gum in her own world, probably wants to be at home. She doesn't want to be there that day or whatever. She's crying over something, exams, or boy, just walks through that building, zaps all the energy, and she doesn't even know she did it because your blood has your energetic signature in it. So it's called pranic energy, your chi. It's the highest concentration in the physical of what makes you you, uniquely you. There are other things like sexual fluids, spit, snot, tears, sweat, whatever, hair. But that is the highest concentration. So that's why it's so important and so sacred. And in some beliefs, like Jehovah's Witnesses, in particular, they don't like transfusing. Okay, they don't. I've heard two things. I've heard they don't take blood transfusions at all. Another one I've heard is they don't like blood transfusions that are not from other people. They have to be a fellow Jehovah's. I don't know if that's true. I think it's just full stop. You can't do it. But this is what happens. You suck the life force out of everything around you because you're hollow. So you're empty. So when you are in a place of worship, you basically siphon in that energy so that you can keep, because it's pure, so that you can sustain your body and keep going. So it's like, it's quite vampiric. It's not intentional, it's not evil, but that's why. It's better for everyone. And this is why in so many communities and cultures, especially historically, not so much in the industrial age and the modern age, they would be a separate property on their property, like let's say in the backyard, a shed or a hut or something, and the girl or the woman would, during her bleed, she would go and live there in isolation, because if she was in the presence of people who were not, they would become cranky or tired and they would feel drained. Okay, this is perfectly normal, it's not evil or anything like that, but they just knew a lot more. Don't tell me that now I want to go and suck everything and leave them clueless. Okay, so I left this out of the lives on vampirism because people like don't understand. They think it's intentional, but there's a movement towards teaching these. It is ancient information, and it never really went out of style. But actually, I mean, in 2018, the city of Milan in Italy afforded a 3-day leave every month, paid leave for women to stay at home when they have their flow. This is very progressive, okay? But this has been around forever, since forever. And one of the reasons, okay, so you're going to say, if you make such a policy, you're going to say it's because it's the right thing to do and it's progressive, right? But energetically, actually, everybody benefits. Because if someone who is like down and drained comes into a workplace where other people are energized, it's like spiritual osmosis, they will just like start to multiply and like siphon off certain traits from them. So if you come in and you're tired and you're scrambled and you're a little bit unstable or emotional or grumpy, whatever, it will start like a domino effect where other people are going to start to feel tired and they go, I don't know why. Was it that run last night? Did I watch too much Netflix? What's got me feeling like this? And of course, they can't look you all night. Ooh, which one of you is on your period? But everybody benefits. Okay, so one of the first things that I did was I messaged, yes, Spain too just voted to get paid 64. And brill, we love to hear it, love to see it. But I messaged my friend, and she has a child, and I said, you know what? I'm so paranoid because, like, if you have a child and you send them to daycare, you send them to school, most women are teachers. Most teachers are women. She's not supposed to touch the child. I get so like frantic. I was like, this is crazy because so much energetic transference is happening all of the time. We don't see it, we don't know it, but you feel its effects. It's like the, what is it, tiniest particle atoms, what are they called? Strangeness and charm. And they say you can't see them, but their effects can be felt. That's how I feel energy works. So pretty remarkable. So those are some of the misconceptions. People think, like, first of all, it's not intentional, it's just what is. But because it is what is, it's to your benefit to seclude yourself as much as you can, because in your state of seclusion, you are able to think freely, you're not distracted. So let's say you were 18 and you live with your family, and you're not feeling that great, and you would like for your parents to live better, drive nicer cars, have more stability. Well, you have 12 opportunities every single calendar year for a few days of a month, you can afford 2, 3 days, 10 minutes a day or something, or an hour, whatever, to sit there. If you want to journal, think about it, invite it in. Because it's when you're feeling, and why do you think, like we need a lot of energy. So we crave rich foods. Like my thing is brownies. Like I crave brownies, but what I'll do is I'll make them and then I feel sick and I can't eat them. Like it's enough to just smell them or something, but it's very calorie rich food. So spiritually, it's the same thing. You need to restore that. You need to restore the creative principle. You need something to fructify. And if you are practicing magic, tantra, religion, anything, if there is no physical manifestation, if it doesn't actually change something in your life, either you're not doing the right thing or you're not doing it at all. Like you're misunderstanding the principles. It's supposed to show you that some progress is made somewhere along the line. Is that why intimacy, when on period, has impact of on partners, attachment, or else? Yes. And this is known through like every culture in the world, every culture in the world. I had an Eastern European woman say something to me in passing. She said, when I was growing up in my village, we knew that if a girl had a crush when she was having her menstruation, if there was like a village dance, she would go get that man drunk, like ply him with a drink, take him home, and he would be enthralled by her. Like we just knew she would, you don't have to do anything. It's just like in a form of enchantment. So it's quite interesting. Okay, so that's a very good question. Okay, and now I want to mention before I go, what I would have dubbed today is the good woman curse. It's not the curse of a good woman because good people don't do things like that. That's ridiculous. And we can talk more about it in depth another time. But this woman was just saying, she's like, I don't understand what happened. Like, I was married, I did everything for him. I made more money than him when we met. And now he makes triple what I make. And they're divorced now. And she had to put him on child support, go to court because he kept like backing out and falling behind on payments, and he's trying to like leave the country and like abscond from his responsibilities and all this. And she says, I was taught to do everything right and I did everything right. And look at where it got me. And, da, da, da. And I said to her, oh, that's the good woman curse. You've been cursed to think that if you're a good woman, you had to earn love. All right. That's not true. Your women are meant to be loved. They're instruments of worship. They're objects of worship, right? But we want something to devote ourselves to. And a lot of the time, you think that if you do all the right things, which also is not your realm is experience and enjoyment. Your realm is emotional, not physical. It's not the action realm. You think that you will become more marketable, which is like spiritual pick effectively. That's what it is. And you think that, somebody will actually appreciate it. But let me tell you, the ultimate truth is this: nobody will appreciate it. And do you know why? Because you rob that man of his own potential. You rob that man to evolve into manhood. The purpose of, and they talk about this on Patreon if you want to go look at that video, the purpose of the feminine is to challenge the masculine, not make easy and smooth and clear and perfect their way. That's God's job, but you're not God. You're just a woman. Thank God for that. Your job is to enjoy the spoils of men, to enjoy what they bring to you. Like you see those birds in nature, like doing this and tapping with something shiny around them. You're supposed to sit there and pick the best one. That's your job. I love it. It's the truth. Okay. So be a good woman because you're good, but make sure whatever man you're with, know that he's using your irreplaceable, no substitute for it, energy to grow in life. And he can leave you on a whim. He can abuse you, mistreat you, whatever. So make sure you end up with someone materially secure who's just more stable generally and actually well meaning. And you don't have to do anything to earn love. You're born to be loved. That's like one of the ironies of how life works. So, okay, I kept this very short and sweet. It was my goal because I'm always on here for like an hour and a half. So hopefully I can come back tomorrow, 11 a.m. on Sunday, and do another one Wednesday, 1 p.m. I love you all. I look forward to your questions. I love answering them so much. Have a good day. Beautiful. Bye.